Right now, Davis is fighting for bail ahead of his trial, which he has pleaded not.
Keefe D named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac.
Here's a story that's been bubbling under the surface for decades and has just exploded back into the spotlight. Shakur's family is now actively investigating a potential link between Shakur's 1996 Las Vegas attack and none other than Sean Diddy Combs. The family, after all these years, isn't giving up. They've recently hired a high-profile attorney to dig into claims that Diddy may have been pulling the strings all along, orchestrating one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in music history. New evidence is coming to light, and it's pointing in directions that no one saw coming.
Tupac Shakur is a music legend, and for a long time, this community and worldwide have been wanting justice for Tupac. Today, we are taking that first step.
If you thought the East Coast-West Coast rivalry was just about a few diss tracks and label competition, you might want to think again. So the stakes were far higher than anyone imagined, and as the Shakur family pushes for answers, the finger is now being pointed directly at Diddy. So what does this new investigation uncover, and why is Diddy's name at the center of it?
Took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Shakur's assassination has always been shrouded in conspiracy theories and speculation. For years, people have debated every possible scenario. Was it gang-related? Was it a label war? Or was it something more personal? But recently, those whispers have turned into louder accusations, especially after notorious figures in the hip-hop scene like Keefe D have come forward with some shocking claims. Keefe D, a former gang leader who has been a controversial figure in hip-hop lore, dropped a bombshell when he alleged that Diddy offered him $1 million to take out both Shakur and Suge Knight. This wasn't just some offhand comment, it's a serious accusation that has added a whole new dimension to the case.
He's the only witness that's tying Puff to the Pac thing. The only witness that's alive.
Keefe D, if you're not familiar, is someone whose name has come up in multiple accounts surrounding the events of that fateful night in Las Vegas. He's known for being involved in street culture, closely tied to some of the most infamous players in the game, and has shared plenty of details over the years that many have brushed off as just more fodder for hip-hop gossip. But now his words are being taken a lot more seriously as the Shakur family ramps up its efforts to finally get to the truth. Here's where things get really interesting. Shakur's family isn't just throwing accusations out there. They've actually brought on top-tier legal firepower in the form of attorney Alex Spiro to push for answers. Spiro is no lightweight in the legal world, known for handling high-profile cases, and his involvement signals that the Shakurs mean business this time. They want answers, and they're not going to stop until they get them.
This could potentially be a diversion, turning an investigation or a trial into a circus. And it's, when you do that, it's easier to get a dismissal. Ask Alec Baldwin. But the judge has already accused attorneys for Davis of shaping media attention about the case involving, as you know, one of hip-hop's most fascinating mysteries, saying it seems like your plan, your end goal here is to make some kind of show.
To understand why Shakur's family is so focused on Diddy, you have to go back to the East Coast-West Coast beef that dominated the 90s. This wasn't just a few rappers taking shots at each other. On tracks, this was a full-blown war that pulled in everyone from artists and producers to gang members and fans. The Source Awards in 1995 marked a turning point in this rivalry when Suge Knight, the co-founder of Death Row Records, called out Bad Boy Records, which was Diddy's label. In a not-so-subtle dig, Suge made it clear that if you wanted to make music without a producer constantly inserting himself into the spotlight referring to Diddy, of course then Death Row was the place to be. The crowd went wild, and it was clear that the rivalry had just gone nuclear.
P. Diddy has consistently denied any involvement in Tupac's. He stated multiple times that he had no connection to the event, and in an interview with Vanity Fair in 2017, he said, "I never had anything to do with any of the violence that was going on during that time."
From that moment on, tensions between the East Coast and West Coast camps kept escalating, fueled by media coverage, interviews, and of course, the music itself. Shakur and Biggie Smalls, who had once been friends, found themselves on opposite sides of this growing divide. Shakur joined Death Row after being bailed out of prison by Suge Knight, and his allegiance to the West Coast became more than just a professional decision, it was personal. And Diddy? He was right in the middle of it all, as the leader of Bad Boy Records, which was home to Biggie and other top East Coast artists. The feud between the two camps wasn't just a matter of pride or bragging rights. It was about control, power, and influence in an industry that was exploding in popularity and money. And let's not forget, the rivalry was also about survival.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact
Shakur had always been a larger-than-life figure, not just in music, but in pop culture and social activism. He wasn't just a rapper, he was an icon who had the ability to move people with his words. His influence stretched beyond the boundaries of hip-hop, and that made him a powerful figure, someone who couldn't be easily ignored. So he thought about social justice, police brutality, and the struggles of Black America, and he did it all with a kind of authenticity that resonated deeply with his fans. He was unapologetic, raw, and real, and that made him a threat to anyone who felt challenged by his presence.
The story we're tracking, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs on watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after 2 judges denied his request for bail. This as a grand jury is expected to hear new testimony from workers very soon.
So could it be that Shakur's assassination wasn't just a random act of violence, but a calculated move orchestrated by people who felt threatened by his growing influence? That's exactly what some are suggesting now, and it's why Diddy is finding himself back in the hot seat. So the Shakur family believes that Shakur's influence, his ability to speak truth to power, and his refusal to back down made him a target not just for rival gangs, but for powerful figures in the music industry like Diddy, who may have seen him as a threat to their own rise. Diddy's involvement in Shakur's assassination has always been a theory floating around the hip-hop world, but Keefe D's recent revelations have given it new weight. His claim that Diddy offered him $1 million to end Shakur's life in shoes is this the kind of accusation that makes you stop and rethink everything you thought you knew about the case. While Diddy has consistently denied any involvement in Shakur's demise, the fact that the Shakur family is pursuing this angle with such determination suggests there's more to this story than we've been told.
I hope the Vegas Police Department do their due diligence and get down to the bottom of it.
But why would Diddy want Shakur out of the picture? The answer might lie in the very public and very personal nature of their rivalry. While Shakur had once been close to Biggie and had even expressed admiration for Diddy's business skills, that all changed after the infamous 1994 attack on Shakur in New York City. Shakur was shot 5 times in the lobby of a recording studio, an event that he believed was set up by none other than Biggie and Diddy. Although both men denied any involvement, Shakur was convinced that they had something to do with it, and that belief only fueled the fire between the East and West Coast camp. So the attack on Shakur wasn't just an act of violence, it was a turning point in the East Coast-West Coast rivalry. Solidified Shakur's distrust of Diddy and Biggie, and from that moment on, the beef between them became deeply personal. Shakur felt betrayed not just by the industry but by people he had once considered friends. So this betrayal is what many believe sparked the feud that would eventually lead to both Shakur's and Biggie's untimely ends.
You know, that's the whole truth on the Tupac thing, you know what I'm saying?
So as the tension between the two sides escalated, Shakur didn't hold back. He took shots at Diddy and Biggie in his music, most famously in the track Hit 'Em Up, where he didn't just go after them professionally, he made it personal, taking aim at Biggie's personal life and accusing him of being a fake. So the track was a brutal diss that left no room for reconciliation, and it marked a point of no return in the feud. But here's where things get even more tangled. While the public saw this as a beef between artists, those on the inside knew that there were far more significant forces at play. The rivalry wasn't just about music, it was about money, power, and control over a burgeoning industry. Bad Boy Records, led by Diddy, was becoming a powerhouse in the music world, with Biggie as its crown jewel. Shakur's success with Death Row posed a direct threat to that. If Shakur continued to rise, it could upset the balance of power, and that's where some believe Diddy's motives come into play. Diddy's ambition was well known in the industry. He wasn't just a producer or a label head, he was someone who had his sights set on the top, and he wasn't going to let anything or anyone get in his way. His meteoric rise from an intern at Uptown Records to the founder of Bad Boy was fueled by a relentless drive for success. But with that success came pressure. The East Coast-West Coast rivalry wasn't just a battle for dominance in the charts. It was a war for control over the future of hip-hop, and Diddy had a lot to lose.
Now for what's trending in true crime, nearly 30 years after the legendary rapper Tupac Shakur, the man accused of his is now claiming that Sean Diddy Combs once ordered a hit on the rap icon. In a recent court filing, a 2009 interview between police and Dwayne Keefe D Davis is making headlines yet again.
Some believe that Diddy saw Shakur as more than just a rival, he saw him as a threat to everything he had built. Shakur's ability to speak to the masses, his connection with fans, and his growing influence in the industry made him a dangerous opponent. If Shakur continued to rise, it could undermine Diddy's empire, and that's where the theory of Diddy's involvement in Shakur's assassination starts to make sense. And was Shakur's demise a strategic move to eliminate a threat? That's the question the Shakur family is now asking, and it's one that's gaining more attention as new evidence surfaces.
The only man currently facing charges in the case, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, claims that Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, paid for a hit on Tupac.
Keefe D's claim that Diddy offered him $1 million to take out Shakur isn't just an accusation, it's a bombshell that could unravel decades of secrecy. If there's any truth to this, it would explain a lot about the events leading up to Shakur's attack and the way the East Coast-West rivalry spiraled out of control. It would also shed light on why Diddy has faced so many accusations over the years, not just about his business practices, but about his involvement in far darker activities.
They got to come up with some kind of evidence, and they got to have Keefe D say and point to some kind of evidence, which I don't think he could, that Diddy put out the hit on Tupac. Yeah, they gonna press him.
The Shakur family's investigation into Diddy's potential role in Shakur's demise isn't just about finding out who was responsible, it's about justice, so they want answers, and they're not going to stop until they get them. With the help of attorney Alex Spiro, they're digging into every lead, every rumor, and every accusation that's come up over the years. They're determined to uncover the truth, no matter where it leads. As the investigation continues, more and more people are coming forward with their own stories about Diddy and his alleged involvement in Shakur's assassination. Some are saying that Diddy was willing to do whatever it took to protect his empire, even if that meant eliminating his rivals. So others believe that the rivalry between Shakur and Diddy was a manufactured conflict, orchestrated by the industry to boost record sales and create hype. Whatever the case may be, one thing is clear: there's more to the story than we've been told, and the Shakur family is determined to get to the bottom of it.
Rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
And that brings us to the next chapter in this saga, Diddy's own history of legal troubles and accusations. Shakur's assassination might just be the beginning of a much larger investigation into Diddy's activities. The recent federal raids on his properties have raised new questions about what else he might be hiding, and as more people come forward with their stories, it's becoming clear that Shakur's demise might not be the only skeleton in Diddy's closet. So stay tuned, because this story is far from over. The walls might just be closing in on Diddy, and as the Shakur family continues to push for answers, we might finally get the truth about what happened that night in Las Vegas and why Diddy's name keeps coming up. All right, here's where things get even darker. As the Shakur family's investigation digs deeper, it's not just Shakur's case that's drawing attention. There are more layers to Diddy's story that are beginning to unravel. Many are now comparing Diddy to other powerful figures who've been exposed in recent years. I remember how shocking it was when details about Jeffrey Epstein's underground world came to light, while some are suggesting that Diddy might be hiding secrets just as scandalous. We're talking about allegations of misconduct, control, and manipulation that go way beyond the music industry.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
Let's start with Cassie Ventura, a name that's been popping up alongside Diddy's for years. She wasn't just a singer signed to his label, she was also his partner for over a decade. After they split, she came forward with a lawsuit that shook the industry. She claimed that during their time together, Diddy had a tight hold on her life, allegedly controlling her every move, both personal and professional. Cassie's lawsuit wasn't just about one incident. No, it opened the door to a pattern of behavior that's starting to paint a pretty disturbing picture. According to Cassie, Diddy made her feel like she owed him everything: her career, her lifestyle, her whole identity. And when she finally tried to break free, he allegedly made it difficult for her to do so. So though they quickly reached a settlement after she filed her case, her claims sparked a wave of similar accusations from others who had once been close to Diddy. So it was as if her courage to speak out gave others the push they needed to finally share their own experiences. Now people are coming forward with stories of mistreatment, bullying, and even coercion, all centering around Diddy and his inner circle.
The evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named.
And it doesn't end with Cassie. There's also Dawn Richard, who was a member of Danity Kane, a group that Diddy brought to fame. She filed a lawsuit against him, too, claiming that he used his influence to intimidate and harass her. She described the work environment at Bad Boy as anything but professional. According to her, it was more like a twisted game of power where Diddy always had the upper hand. And Richard even talked about Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, where she said the lines between personal and professional were more than just blurred, they were obliterated. These parties were allegedly extravagant gatherings, often held at his lavish homes in Miami or Los Angeles, where guests were invited to indulge in Diddy's unique version of entertainment. But what makes these events even more unsettling are the stories of young women being manipulated and taken advantage of, all under the guise of Hollywood's glitz and glamour. According to Richard, attendees were required to surrender their phones upon entering, ensuring that no one could document what went on inside. It's this sort of secrecy that has fueled rumors for years, rumors that until now seemed like just another piece of tabloid fodder.
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
As more people come forward with stories that echo Cassie's and Dawn's, a troubling pattern starts to emerge. And what's even more chilling is that Diddy isn't just being accused of one-time incidents. These are claims of behavior that's been ongoing for decades. It's almost as if he built a world where he could operate with complete impunity, shielded by his wealth and his connections. And just like with Epstein, there are whispers that Diddy's influence might reach into places far beyond the entertainment industry. Could it be that he had the right friends in the right places, allowing him to operate without fear of consequences? There's also Rodney Jones Jr., a former producer and videographer, who has taken legal action against Diddy as well. Jones filed a lawsuit accusing him of running an underground operation that involved coercing people into compromising situations.
Had clients describe NBC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
He's asking for a huge sum in damages, claiming that Diddy not only mistreated him, but also threatened him when he tried to get out. Jones's lawsuit draws comparisons to other high-profile cases where powerful figures have been accused of exploiting those around them. And just like Cassie, Jones's claims suggest that Diddy has a habit of controlling people's lives only to discard them when they're no longer useful to him. But Diddy's legal troubles don't stop there. His former bodyguard, Gene Deal, has also shared some unsettling stories about his time working for the music mogul. Deal described an incident where Diddy, confronted by Shakur and his crew, literally ran for cover, leaving his people to fend for themselves. Deal said that when he asked Diddy why he didn't stand his ground, Diddy coldly replied that he had too much at stake to get involved. It was like he didn't care who got hurt as long as he could protect his own image and empire. This level of self-preservation, according to Deal, is typical of Diddy, someone who would go to great lengths to shield himself, no matter the cost to those around him.
They pressing him so bad, and I don't know how I should say this, that a week or 2 ago, they beat him up in jail. The cops.
And let's not forget about the other figures who have been part of Diddy's world and have met suspicious ends. Kim Porter, for instance, who was not only Diddy's longtime partner but also the mother of 3 of his children, passed away in 2018. Her untimely passing has sparked all kinds of rumors, especially given that she had reportedly planned to release a memoir. Kim was someone who had seen Diddy's world from the inside out, and some believe she may have known things that would have put him in a bad light. Diddy himself has faced accusations of being physically and emotionally harsh toward Kim. Some close to the situation have said that their relationship was filled with drama and that Diddy could be volatile. While there's no concrete evidence to support these claims, it hasn't stopped people from speculating. And Kim isn't the only one. There are several people in Diddy's orbit who have met unexpected or mysterious ends, which only adds fuel to the fire.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
So then there's Al-Bashir, another of Kim's former partners, who hinted at something even more sinister. After a health scare that left him in a coma for months, Al made a cryptic remark about needing to call Homeland Security to fully understand what had happened to him. Although he didn't name Diddy directly, the implication was enough to get people talking. So Al-Bashir has always been known for speaking his mind, and his words suggest that there's more going on behind the scenes than we could ever imagine. And of course, there's the tragic story of Heavy D, another one of Diddy's early collaborators. Heavy D was one of the first artists signed to Uptown Records, where Diddy got his start, and they had a close working relationship. But after Heavy D's passing in 2011, rumors surfaced that he had been planning to write a book about his experiences. Some believe he had insider knowledge of the events that shaped Diddy's career, including some of the darker moments. So whether there's any truth to these rumors, we may never know, but it's certainly suspicious that so many people close to Diddy seem to leave behind unanswered questions.
There are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see.
The picture that emerges from all these stories is one of a man who may have built his empire on the backs of others. Some say that Diddy was ruthless in his pursuit of success, willing to cut ties and burn bridges whenever it suited him. And while this kind of ambition is hardly unique in the music industry, the sheer number of accusations against him makes it hard to dismiss as mere coincidence. It's almost as if he created a world where he could do whatever he wanted without ever facing any real consequences.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
Now, Diddy's alleged influence and control aren't just limited to those he worked with. There are rumors that he had connections in some very high places, people who might have helped him keep certain things out of the public eye. There's speculation that he might have had ties to powerful figures in both the entertainment world and beyond, allowing him to operate with a kind of impunity that most people could only dream of. It's this level of influence that has some people comparing to Epstein, who also had a network of friends in high places. For years, Diddy's parties have been the stuff of legend, drawing celebrities, politicians, and influencers from all walks of life. But according to those who have attended, there was a darker side to these gatherings. There were strict rules and everyone had to play by Diddy's game. Phones were confiscated, guests were closely monitored, and security was tighter than a bank vault. So this level of control ensured that nothing from these parties ever made it out into the public, but it also created an environment where people could be taken advantage of.
Now you got the Diddy situation where he jumps on a private jet, they say yesterday, and is on his way to the Cape Verde Islands.
And while these stories have been floating around for years, it's only now that people are starting to connect the dots. Cassie's lawsuit may have been the spark that lit the fuse, but as more people come forward, it's becoming clear that there's a bigger picture here. It's as if the walls around Diddy's empire are finally starting to crumble, and the secrets he's kept hidden for so long are beginning to come to light. And now, in a turn of events that has the whole world buzzing, news just broke that Diddy has been arrested. That's right, after years of rumors, allegations, and accusations, the music mogul is now behind bars. Authorities moved in quickly, apprehending Diddy at his Los Angeles residence, and he was immediately taken into custody. The charges, they say, are serious enough that he won't be walking out anytime soon. So no bail, no release, just a cold, hard cell that he'll be calling home for the foreseeable future.
Of course. There's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers.
This arrest is monumental, not just because of who Diddy is, but because it finally opens up the possibility that justice for Shakur's case could be within reach. So many are speculating that Diddy's recent legal troubles are part of a larger investigation into his alleged involvement in Shakur's passing, with some sources even hinting that he's now a primary suspect. So authorities, it seems, have uncovered new evidence linking him to the fateful events of that night in Las Vegas. If these rumors hold any truth, Diddy's legal team is in for the fight of a lifetime, and the hip-hop world is on the brink of one of its biggest scandals ever.
If the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
So what's even more shocking is that the authorities are reportedly confident they have enough to not only keep Diddy behind bars, but also to push forward with charges directly related to Shakur's passing. For the Shakur family, who have spent decades seeking answers, this development is a monumental step forward. They've long suspected that Diddy played a role in the tragedy, and now with this arrest, it looks like they might finally get the answers they've been searching for. It's as if all the pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together and Diddy's own empire could be crumbling from within.
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
As the news spreads, fans and onlookers are left reeling. Could this really be the end of Diddy's reign in the industry? And more importantly, will Shakur's case finally see the justice it deserves? Only time will tell, but one thing is clear, the music world is never going to be the same after this. Diddy's arrest could mark the beginning of the end for one of hip-hop's biggest players, and as the investigation unfolds, everyone will be watching to see how this dramatic saga concludes. So what do you think? Could Diddy really be behind the tragedy that changed hip-hop forever? And if these allegations are true, how do you think this will impact his legacy in the music world? So we'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Until next time, thanks for watching.